Oh my God, we are back, and we hope the audience will come back too. I tried something new, it failed. Here we are. And here twins it. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. I I am not a Halloween person at all. Like growing up in a Jamaican family, it's basically the Duppy holiday. And
Right.
Duppy, to those non-Caribbean West Indian people, is ghost. And so it didn't make sense to us that people encourage their children to run around dressed up like Duppies and go to strangers' house and ask them for candy.
Right.
So it just never caught on in my house.
Me neither.
But this is. Did you go to
But
work like this?
no, no. But as you get older, you find stuff, you see stuff. You might go to parties and stuff, but you ain't really celebrating Halloween. It's more of the party atmosphere.
This is hilarious. I what is this mask?
Well, for my real Marvel fans, this is the face mask that Killmonger wore in Black Panther.
Oh yes,
You know.
I appreciate this. Okay. As we wait for the people to come back in, and again, everybody, if you have to come back in, I apologize. I heard about this new platform. I was going to try to simulcast on Instagram, and then that didn't work, and the platform didn't work. So we tried, we're back to StreamYard, which has never failed us yet. So thank you, StreamYard, for not failing us. We will not cheat on you again. And it's our
Sponsorship.
thing, right? StreamYard, we tried you, your competitor failed us, and now we're back. Speaking of cheating, okay, so I have this thing, okay? So let's say you're in a relationship and you guys agree that you're going to watch a show together. So you're going to watch a series together.
Okay.
Okay. So you say, I'm going to throw out a series. I know there's a series I'm watching called You. So let's just say you say, we're going to watch a series together. And your partner goes ahead and watches several episodes ahead of where they told you to stop. How do you feel about that? Because I get pissed.
I definitely would be pissed, especially if it's something that I'm not really into, but I'm doing it just to get that bonding with you. You know what I'm saying? Watch something with you, and get into it. And then if for some reason you can't wait, and you watch a few episodes before me, and then we watching it, and you kind of predict things going on, I'm done. Like I'm like, all right, we'll have fun. Like you won't catch me watching another TV show with you now. You ruined it because it's not the same excitement at the same time when whatever happens part of the show. So yeah, that's not cool at all.
I'm, I'm gonna clip this and send it to mine. Okay, because I do not like it. If we commit to watching a show together, we are watching it together.
Got same,
Period. Point blank. You don't watch anymore. You don't want. If we stop at episode 4 and we don't catch back up on episode 5 for another week, guess what? You're watching episode 5 with me a week later. You do not get to watch the episodes without me and then be like, oh, catch up. Just catch up. No, no, I don't want to catch up. I wanted to watch it with you. I digress.
shit. Trigger alert.
It's a very, very sensitive topic. So, people, please come back. Come back. We are back. We are back. Please come back, everybody. We are live. We are here because this, honestly, is an interesting conversation. And I've thought a lot about it since I watched the clip, and I'm going to clearly show the clip again because I thought, you know what? Again, I think we have it all messed up about what is a top tier person. And I know this all started with the high value man thing and really became a thing with Kevin Samuels. And then the women that appeared on Kendra G took it to the next level. And now on almost every place you're hearing high value man, high in demand woman, all those things. And I think people have whittled it down to just 3 aspects, and that's not enough, right? So the 3 aspects that they whittled it down for men is over 6 feet, over 6 figures, and over 6 inches teen. And they're not talking about, to me personally, the important stuff. So again, we're going to play a clip shortly where there is a debate between a man and a woman about top tier, and then twins, and of course, all of you who are going to join us and come back in because there were so many of you that were here, and we need you back so we can have this conversation. But we're really going to have the conversation because I actually have some real questions that I want twins and myself, and of course, all of you to answer to make sure that we're clarifying what it even means to be top tier. So I'm going to go ahead and not waste any time because twins gets up early. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to go into this clip, and I am curious to know what you all have to say. Here we go again.
Modern day women just don't qualify for the top tier men, and that is the truth.
You believe you're a top tier man? By what standard?
I'm 6'4", only about what? 8% of the entire world is 6'4". I make well over 100K a year. And I'm black at that if you add that on. So just if we're speaking about those figures, the things that women are attracted to, no, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I'll let you do the math.
Okay, before we go, what's your math saying?
The conversation and the words that are coming out of the mouth of someone like you, I would never consider top tier. A top tier man is also a man that is extremely desirable by way of his character. A top tier man is a man who displays a certain level of intellect that allows him to consider other people. A top tier man, they lead with love, not with dictatorship, right? They don't want to control their woman. They want to gently lead their woman. A top tier man creates space for a woman to feel good about herself. A top tier man supports the dreams and the ideas of a woman. A top tier man prioritizes a woman. A top tier man is in leadership and working as hard as he is to give the woman the life of her dream.
And with
But I
all that
digress.
stuff that you just said, that was just womanese talk. That
Womanese is also 6'4", black, attractive. I don't know too many women in my circle who desire a 6'4" man still wearing braids.
Shot at the end. Pop, pop, pop. I didn't see a ring on her finger. Was there a ring there?
I have to go back. That's actually a good question. I'm not sure.
Okay. Because that led me to say, what does she know what a top tier man is?
She could have been previously married, and she could also be in a relationship.
A top tier man's gonna put a ring on that. A top tier man's gonna lock it down if she's that type of woman. I'm just saying, men go after what they want, and if you're somebody that they want, they're gonna make it well known that you're off the market. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
I'm Jack Spade. Thank you for coming in, people. Thank you for coming back. Jack Spade says the people who claim to be high value or top tier are not and just fronting. The people who are legit will laugh at you because they are juggling career, marriage, childbearing, and others. Mister, thank you for joining us as well. Anytime women start telling men what men are, it's just things that benefit her.
Facts. That's why I said I ain't see a ring on her finger.
Okay, I'm gonna give my thoughts on this one. Here is the issue I have with the sixes. Okay, a lot of this idea of what made a high value men came from subpar women. It wasn't men who said they had to be over 6 feet. They had to make over 6 figures, and they had to have a 6-inch plus teen. It was women. But if we start going back and looking at some of these tapes where this idea was coming up, it was like Kevin Samuels responded to women saying that that's what they wanted. So then he said, what you guys are actually looking for is a high value man. But they disregarded the characteristics that he was saying made a high value man. And they stuck it with the sixes, right? Because remember I said, earlier, as women, we like to speak. We don't necessarily like to listen. So if women really studied what Kevin Samuel said, there was a whole list of characteristics that went with what actually made that man a high value man, behind how much money he makes, how big his dick was, and I think we're past the time where I can say dick, how big his dick was, and how tall he was. There was a whole bunch of things, but the problem is subpar women started taking that into it. And what do I mean by subpar women? Women who had made bad choices, who are now looking for the men with the sixes to save them. Women who were not intelligent enough to be able to articulate what the qualities of a man that they wanted was beyond the sixes. Women who were looking for Captain Saba. That's what happened. And then it started defining what this top tier man was, which again, how can you be a top tier man with a subpar personality? You can't. You're not a high value man if you got over 6 figures, over 6 inches, and whatever, over 6 feet, but you actually have a subpar personality. You have subpar characteristics, because guess what? There's scammers in Miami who are over 6 feet, over 6 inches, and make over 6 figures. But you know what they're doing? They're scamming old people. Does that make them a top tier man? No. Sorry, twins.
No, I was just saying no.
Do you see what I'm saying? We've conflated it. So it isn't just the sixes. So like the issue I had with the gentleman in the clip, and again, they used those clips to bring us in and let us have this conversation. When he described himself, he didn't describe himself beyond the sixes. He said, I'm over 6'4", only 8% of the population is over 6'4". I make 6 figures, and I guess he was also alluding to the fact that he had over a 6-inch penis. And he was black. So for him, but are you God-fearing? Are you a man that leads by example? Are you hardworking? Are you respectful? Are you kind? Are you caring? Are you resilient? Are you tenacious? Should I go on? So you can deem me down and you can spend some money on me, and you're, taller than 92% of men in the world. Woo! But I digress. Twins.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hit on a lot of things there when you start talking about top tier, and like you said earlier, it sounds like high value man. It just, like you said, it's pull 3 things. Most men who would be in that top tier level, they don't walk around and say I'm top tier, if that makes sense. Like that's who they are. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Like people who got it on don't got to speak about it. It's just who they are. Now, I get it for the conversation, right? Because it's a podcast, and you got to say certain things for clickbait. I get all that, right? So that part not a problem, because I get it. But yeah, it's kind of hard for her to just kind of outline what a top tier man is. Because my follow-up question to her, I said, so how many top tier married men have you been married to, or are you married to a top tier man now, or what is the last top tier man you have dated? Like, those have been my follow-up questions. And whatever she just said, so you have a top tier man, right? And you're on a podcast talking about men relationship. That sounds kind of a little red flag for me.
Really? Because for me, he was the walking red flag. Because he's telling, to your point, and I'm going to get to Mr. I see you got a bunch of points here. To your point, top tier men don't going around saying that they're top tier men, especially on a podcast that is going to go out to hundreds of thousands or millions of people, right? Like, you don't sit there and say, I'm a top tier man and this is why. He, to me, was the walking red flag because he has determined he's a top tier man by the very basic level that subpar women have created to determine what top tier men are. Because as I previously said, I've met a whole bunch of top tier men in Miami who are scamming old people.
But also, too, you got to keep in mind that the only reason why he put himself in that category because she didn't like what he was saying about top tier men. First, he wasn't speaking about herself. He was just speaking as a general with top tier XYZ. And then she's like, well, are you a top tier? Instead of just having a conversation. See, when women don't like a conversation or they can't speak on a conversation, what they do, fellas, they attack your character. So she actually is the reason why the conversation went left. Instead of sticking to the topic, she made it personal. Well, are you top tier? And then once you start explaining yourself, then you got the slight jazz from both sides, right? But I'll land my plane there.
I'm going to actually go to what Mr. Mr. says and we can get back to that. So Mr. Mr. said, the fuck? Sorry. The fuck I look like letting a woman tell me what any kind of man is. She's never been a man. That's like an accountant telling a surgeon how to be a surgeon just because he's been to a doctor before. But here is the thing. This is where I'm going to disagree with both of you right now. She wasn't saying that telling him how to be a man. She was disagreeing with his description of what a top tier man is. He just happened to use himself as the example to say, I'm a top tier man and this is why I'm a top tier man. What would have been great in that clip is if the discussion was, what are the characteristics that make a top tier man? Now, she couldn't disagree with him if the characteristics were such of, again, God-fearing and whatever the list happened to be. She doesn't know him like that, so she can't be like, no, Ninja, you ain't this top tier man. She doesn't know him. But for him to come on and say, just based on the fact that I'm 6'4", make over six figures, and have a 6-inch or over peen, that makes me top tier man. Do you know my supposed top tier men that I would have met in my life that are garbage? Straight trash? But I digress. Let me get to some of these other comments. Jack say, sorry, Twin.
All I want to say was it may not make them top tier, but it still put them in the category of being sought after more. Because we ain't going to lie, women like men that are over 6 feet tall.
That part. No, we all know. Listen, you all shade me all the time. Y'all know, right? If we all know that my current boyfriend isn't under 6 feet. Like, I think we're very clear on that. He is not under 6 feet. We know that. I like a tall man. But that is not enough for me to go around and say that the man I'm with is top tier because he's got all these sixes. He could also be a real piece of trash.
I mean,
there's a lot of trashes that are now going around. They're saying that, sorry, Twin, saying that they're top tier because they meet that criteria. No.
But also, you got to factor in the quality of women he may be talking to at that time, right? So if you speak to someone who's in their early 20s, late 30s, and you're making six figures, you're 6 feet tall, right? And you're handsome, right? You're going to have women going once because you can do things from that the average dude, their age can't do. They can't find a dude in their same age group that's 6 feet tall and has six figures, right? Forget the other six. I don't care about that part. I'm talking about those 2 sixes right there. You can't. So for him talking to a younger woman around that age group, they're going to think he's the bomb.com. They're closest thing to an NBA player, football player, whatever. Now, when you talk to women that's his age or saying or like 40 or whatever age, they got, they're a little, more mature, right? And those small things don't matter to them more. They don't care about, oh, you can buy me this. I can buy my own clothes. I mean, that's where that independent struggle come in at. So you can't talk the game to the older woman who got her stuff together. She still might want to she wants the man who's 6 feet tall, yeah, and she wants the man who's financially stable, right? But for her, she's gonna need more than that. Okay, cool that you're stable and you're 6 feet tall, but what else do you got besides this funky attitude? You're not talking to one of the young girls who's younger than me that, oh my God, you got all this money and you tall. No, you're talking to a woman who, like, I had that already. What else can you bring to the table? So that's where the conversation draws a line at. So it depends on the woman he's talking to, may think he's high value versus a woman that's our age. Nah, bro, you just a regular man who's working hard, got good money. Don't make you top tier. I'm not gonna follow you down the road if you're like, hey, Dwayne, we're growing, we're starting a business. Okay, well, what business have you started before I invest into your company? Show me what you have done. But I stop right there.
No, you are right. Again, this is why I said a lot of these men are listening to subpar women determining what a top tier man is, and that's crazy. Jack Spade says, when Kevin Samuels came onto the scene in 2017 and got introduced to what eventually became the Black Manosphere, he made it very clear he was never he was never a high value man, and was just sharing what he'd heard. Mr. and Mrs. said Kevin Samuel also said high value men are the ones who decide who other high value men are. And he also said your network is your net worth. And that is something that I repeat to everyone. So outside of all the million things that I do, I also am a business consultant. And I tell everyone that I was like, your network is your net worth, and you need to go out and find mentors and all of that. And I agree with you. Other high value men determine who high value men are. Other top tier men determine what top tier men are. However, as women, we can definitely recognize when you are neither. Because again, like you just said, a man coming to me simply because he's got some sixes, but has 6 baby mamas, okay, who's been to jail a couple of times and who came out scamming old people. And so that's why he now makes 6 figures, or on OnlyFans showing his woo-ha, okay, that's not a top tier or high value man. He doesn't display the characteristics as such. And I think this is why some of this, like the loudest voices are the dumbest right now on the internet. Like, no disrespect, but some of the loudest voices are the dumbest, and these things spread and spread. And I'm just like, who, like, you've made bad decisions. How do you know what top tier is? You're on your 5th baby daddy. Sorry. Like, you don't determine what top tier is. You're subpar at best, but I digress. Mr. also says, with all that said, women could see the same man, 6'4", to see the same man, 6'4" man standing next to Jesus at 5'8", and still choose the 6'4" man. Cut the crap. You know what choices women tend to make. Listen, I completely understand that as women, we, just like men like physical, right? You guys like a physically attractive woman. We want the same thing. We all have the same eyes. And so, yes, I do look at a man. I generally gravitate towards a man who's over 6 feet. However, I'm never going to end up with a man who's over 6 feet in trash just because he's over 6 feet or makes over 6 figures. I've met, like I said, a lot of over 6 feet men who are trash. That is never enough for me to go and lay down with trash because you have the 6s. What do I look like? That's ridiculous. But to Twins' point earlier, I'm also a grown, I still wasn't even doing that in my 20s. If I'm honest, I remember meeting guys in clubs who would stand there and jiggle their car keys in my face as they were talking. They would casually be like, oh, it's a Mercedes or a BMW. And 20-something years ago, because that's when I was in my 20s, that was a big deal. If a guy had a Bentley or a Corvette or a Porsche and he was dangling the keychain, Ninja, you could be dangling that keychain and going out in a Toyota Tercel. So that didn't mean nothing because you were dangling some keychains at a club. Been there, done that. But in today's world, yeah, a lot of the 20-year-olds are falling for that. But most of us grown women are not going to look at a man simply because he's 6'4" and say, yeah, you're a top tier man. I think that's just absolutely ridiculous. And that was just me pinning. Again, I pinned. If you want to come in and have this conversation, I've actually now pinned it in the comment section. Please look and you can come and join the conversation. Jack Spade says, Kevin Samuels also mentioned LinkedIn visibility. Facts on facts on facts. But LinkedIn is a self-reporting website. Anyone can be anything they want on LinkedIn, just like he posted he graduated from OSU but didn't. What is OSU? I don't know what OSU is. Jack said, what is OSU?
Ohio State University.
Ohio State. Okay, there we go. Mr. For most women, if the man is missing the 6 foot, the rest of his high value no longer matters to them. Hence, going back to the point, high value men decide who other high value men are. Ohio State University. Thank you both. However, I'm gonna agree with that. High value men determine the characteristics for high value men. But I can also say when a man is trash. I can also determine that based on your characteristics, you are not of value, at least to me. So I would be curious for the men in the chat and twins, outside of the sixes, because we get that. And we get that being over 6 feet is rare, right? I get that. There's only a small, from 6 feet and up, and the taller you get, the less percentage of the population like is as tall as that. And as someone who was dated anywhere from 6 foot to 7 feet tall, I understand the rarity of you amazing, wonderful men out there. But just because you are rare doesn't make you a top tier man. So I am curious to know, gentlemen in the chat and twins, as a man, how would you qualify a man as top tier?
Me personally, I wouldn't. I don't.
Oh,
Like, see, in groups of men, we don't have these type of conversation. We don't look at it like, oh yeah, you're a top tier guy, or you're a high value guy. We don't have those conversations. We just don't. Because as men, we don't really. I mean, we know leaders. Like, we see that. We know who the leader is, whether it's a business or a game or sport, whatever it may be. We know who the person to go to is the go-to person, right? But everyone has their own strengths. He may be good as a leader, but Jim over here might be the brains of the business. The architect over here, the guy, like everyone plays their role. So we don't have this conversation. I never been in a group around guys say, yeah, I'm a high value man. I'm this. I'm top. No, we don't have this conversation. We just don't.
I will say this though, but there are certain men, right, that generally men respect. So let me rephrase the question then. What are the characteristics of a highly respected man?
Okay, that's better. That's I like that. There you go, I like that. Easy. That's easy. So once again, I mean, so he has to not demand it, but he's a respectful person, right? He's very respectful. 1, 2, but he can take the lead and give you straight, honest feedback at the same time. Like, listen, man, you get your shit together. You know what I mean? But it's all out of love, out of respect. You know what I'm saying? He gonna talk to you as a man. He ain't gonna talk to you as a child, because it doesn't matter how much money you make, right? If you disrespect a man, we gotta see each other. So you can be the high value man you want, but go outside and get your ass kicked. Then what? Then you lose all your credibility. But the point I make is that so communication, right? Leadership, it's really hard to say. It's just, make communication, the leader. I don't know. I can't really put it in words, but it's someone who can definitely take the lead. So for example, I'll use this like LeBron James. Here's somebody you consider being a leader, right? Everybody on the court plays basketball, but he gets the ball in his hand. He commands the court. Hey, you go over there. You go over there. You go here. You do a pick. No one on the court is like, man, who's he talking to? No, he's the guy. We're going to follow his lead, but everyone's going to play their part. So that's one way I'll use that example.
I love that. And Mr. has got a comment here. But gentlemen, now that I've rephrased the question, I am curious to know from those of you in the chat. So forget high value, forget top tier. Again, what are the characteristics of a well-respected man or a highly respected man? What are those characteristics? So Mr. and Mrs. said, first of all, top tier man is not interchangeable with high value men. One is based on the opinions of high value men. The other is based on a list of criteria that attracts most women. Interesting.
Also, I want to add on too. He will have to have integrity, right? He has integrity. You know what I'm saying? That's cute. That's huge right there. Meaning that the way he carries himself, right? So I just want that in there. He has to have integrity.
I 100% agree. You know, when I look at someone who I would consider well respected or of high value in a man, again, putting aside the sixes, which would be more in the bottom of the list to me, it would be, first of all, someone who leads by example. Um, it, and leading by example, to me personally, is a God fearing man, right? A man who puts God first and leads by example based on that. To me, a high value man is a man with integrity. It is a man who is trustworthy. It is a man who is respectable and respected. It is a man who's family oriented. It's a man who is, for me, he's got to be highly intelligent. So he's got to be, you know, a consummate learner and a consummate teacher. He's a man who has goodwill for others, right? He's a man who's always wanting to help. So he's a community man. So for me, a high value man would be a man who's giving back to the community. So giving back to young Black youth, not taking from the community. There's a lot of men claiming to be high value men or top tier men, and they're taking from their community instead of giving back to their community, right? Like those are things that when you have conversations with men, those are things that I'm looking for when he speaks. How does he speak to me? Does he speak to me in a place of respect? Or is he speaking to me with complete disregard or disrespect for who I am as a woman, as a person? So it is your character to me that's going to make you a high value man and highly respected. And it doesn't come down to you being able to pipe me down and being over 6 feet and making over six figures. Now that's the cherry on top of the cake, but it's not the ingredients that make the cake. Just saying. Here we go, Mr. A man that other men respect is a masculine, successful leader, a man who can defend himself and the people he cares about, a man who is courageous, and a man who's strong in multiple areas of his life. I like that. Sorry, in his life. I like that a lot. That sounds like a damn good man. Ain't got nothing to do with any sixes. It's just a good, strong man with good values. And I think we're conflating, to Mr. Mister's point earlier, we're conflating those idea of high value on top tier. And I never even thought about that, Mr. Mister. So I love the fact that you said that, where one is based on what men think and one is based on what attracts women. So yes, does the over six figures attract us? Absolutely. Does the over 6 feet attract us? Hallelujah. And does a man being able to pipe you down with a 6-inch over peen help you to? Absolutely. But that does not make him high value. That doesn't even actually make him top tier. That makes him desirable for a woman who desires those qualities in a man. That's, to me, it doesn't make him either a high value man, it doesn't make him a respectable man or respected man, and it doesn't make him a top tier man. It makes him a desirable man. It's just like a woman, right? Like, let me, you pop into Instagram right now, right? Maybe on your feed, you scroll up. The first two scrolls, you might see a woman who's thirst trapping right now. So she's got the breast on thing, the small waist, the big ass. She's doing the whole thing. And you're like, interesting. And in her bio is linked her OnlyFans account. Now, she might be an attractive woman. She might have parts of her that you find desirable, but you may not qualify that woman as a high in demand woman because she's fucking on camera for coin. Let's consider we call it what it is. I think again we're deep enough in the show that I can say that, right? Like, it's just because a woman is attractive, she's got the complexion you want, she's got the body's tone the way you want, the hair is the way you want. She is popping it, but she's got her OnlyFans link, or she's just doing the most ratchet thing, or when she opens her mouth, every other word is ninja, 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 and biatches, biatches, biatches. She doesn't even know how to pronounce words properly. You've never seen her cook on her Instagram. All you see is her ass and tits and cooch, patty patty woo-ha, out the door, right? Yeah, your loins might want her, but you're never going to wipe her. You're not going to be like, yeah, that's a woman who's high in demand. That's the same conflation that men are feeling, that as women, we think because you've got the sixes, that means that we're going to respect you. It doesn't make you respectable. Jack Spade is saying, but leaders are only so in the arena of their special strength. You remove them from their place. But leaders are only so in the arena of their special strength. You remove them from there, place them another, and they will get in where they fit in. Can you expand on that? I had a difficult time with that one, Jack Spade. Maybe I'm just tired today. Can you just elaborate on that one? I think I understand what you're saying in terms of someone maybe only being like a lawyer is a leader in a state of law, but you put him in a place of trying to be a doctor, he's not going to be a leader there because his specialty and his strength is in the law, not in being a doctor. I think that's what you're trying to say, but I might be wrong. Twin?
No, I mean that's pretty much it, right? If you're a doctor, you can't lead someone as far as building, let's say, building a shed. You can't expect him to be the person to lead you and help you build it properly. Yes, can he read the instructions right? Can he, get an understanding how to do it? Versus the guy who's a carpenter over there who does it all the time. So that's pretty much what he's saying.
But you know what a great leader also, I grew up understanding that it was important for me to know a little bit about a lot instead of a lot about a little, right? And so if you had opened up your mind to know just as many things as possible. So one thing I did, because I'm in business, is I learned just enough to be able to hold a conversation with someone, but still be able to learn from them in that situation. So I'd be able to talk about a little bit about golf. I learned to talk a little bit about curling and football and baseball. And I'm in a very male-dominated space, so that's why I'm talking about sports. But I also knew enough about the law when I was around lawyers to say enough that I could be a part of the conversation, but still kind of remove myself from it to learn from it. And I think that's it. I learned to fix things in my house. Like, I always thought it was important to know a little bit about a lot to be able to navigate the world. That's also part of leadership. That's also part of being respected. I don't want a brilliant fool. And there's a lot of brilliant fools.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who's book smart but got no common sense.
That part. So, Mr. Mrs. said, agreed. However, every man is expected to be a leader to some degree. Every man is expected to lead his household, regardless of his specialty, for example.
That's true.
But we have to agree that every man is not a leader.
Facts. You need workers. That's why everybody can't be an entrepreneur, because we need workers.
And I think we have to be okay with that. We have to be, and I think that's the problem I think we have as women is just because a man is a man, some of us feel that qualifies him to be a leader. And there's a lot of men who think that I'm the man, therefore I'm the leader. But you may not have the characteristics and traits as being a leader. You need literally a partner. You need someone who their strengths and your strengths, and you bring them together, but you only do that area. No one's leading, right? There is just no one leading. And for some relationships that works because he's just not a leader. Ladies, sometimes your man's just not a leader. Sometimes your man's not high value. Sometimes your man's just not top tier. He's just a good man. He's a good man.
Everyone can't have a top tier.
It's impossible.
No, no.
It doesn't work that way. We don't all get the top prize. Some get us get the consolation prize. And ladies, some of your men are the consolation prize. But you are also the consolation prize. That's okay. We don't need high value men or high in demand women or top tier or whatever thing. Now, without any of those titles, a man can still be a well respected man. When you go to his workplace, how do they speak about him? When he takes you places, how do people respond to him? And it's the same with her. Gentlemen, when you take a woman places, she may not be the hottest. Remember I was saying how you guys wanted a traditional baddie? Remember that show where I broke it down? I was like, yo, we're looking for traditional baddies, right? Listen, she may not be the baddest woman out there and this and that and that, but she's a damn good woman. How do people respond to her? How does she deal with people? I wanted to get back to the point where that's what we look at. How does the person you're with treat other people and how do people respond to them? Sorry, twin.
No, I would no, nothing. I was gonna say something, but you kind of already said it, so I'm good.
Thank you. Hold on. Here we go. Jack Spade says, put LeBron in a mass casualty situation and he starts barking anything. Trust and believe he will get put in his place and quick. LeBron, go over there, have a seat, and bite your nails or something. Mr. and Mr. says, right. Every man is not a leader, and that's why not every man gets a household to lead. Not every man gets to be the CEO, chief sergeant, teacher, etc. Let that one sit there. Sit there one second. I just like to make that one sit there. Not every man gets a household to lead. Ladies and gentlemen, let's stop conflating these terms and feeling that you need to fit into this category. It would be great if every man looked at me as a high in demand woman. But you know, the only man that matters is the man I'm with. What does he think of me? What value do I bring into his life? Because at the end of the day, we only have space for one. Unless you're in some polyamory trouble situation, it's just going to be you and the person you were with. There are two of you. So it would be nice if every man thought I was the most beautiful woman in the world, but the only man that matters is the man I'm with. Let's get back to that. Let's get back to just wanting to be with someone who sees you as their whole world. Let's wanting to be with someone whose respect you value, who respects you and is respected by you. Let's start getting there. I think we've come to this point where I think how all of this stuff even came about, if I'm honest, there are a lot of women who are trying to be with men to front for the rest of the world, starting with their friends. I can go tell my girls, I met this man and he this, and this. Sorry, twins, go ahead.
No, I'll actually repeat the last sentence you said again.
I said a lot of this started with women, and sometimes we want these men so that we can front for the world, starting with our friends.
Got it. Got it.
We need to have this extra special man because that validates us. Sorry.
No, that's it.
That validates us. That means that we're special. So if this extra special over 6 foot man, over 6 foot figure man, over 6 inches man, and why the hell your girls know that your man got over 6 inches is beyond me. I mean, we talk about a lot of things that, yeah, you don't need to know about my man's peen, just that I'm getting it good. But anyways, I digress. But I think a lot of that is the validation of a woman's ego or the validation of a man's ego. You want your ego validated, and so by getting chosen by that man or that woman, it says to whomever you are trying to impress that you are something or somebody. And without that, you don't feel as if you're being validated. I've probably been there. I only, to be honest, for me, it's a protection thing. I date tall men because I feel protected by them. And I know it's awful, and I know it's not true, and I know that there's a bunch of 5'9" men or whatever other heights there are that can kick a person's ass or protect me. I'm sure they are. My daddy was a great protector, and he was definitely not over 6 feet. But I know that I'm just not attracted to that because for me, it means protection. For me, that's what it means for me. That's how I see it. When I saw my life growing up, that's what my man was going to look like, and that's what I gravitate towards. Does it validate some part of me? It probably does. Because to that man's point in the video, men who are over 6 foot whatever are only a small percentage of the population. And guess what? Toshiba Billings happens to attract a very small percentage of the population. So it probably validates my ego somewhere. I'm going to be honest about it. All the men I've been with are over 6 feet. Every single one of them. From 6'3" to 6'9". Somewhere in there it validates to me, oh, great, girl, these men want you. But that's not the only reason I'm with them, and I wouldn't consider all of them top tier or high value men. Some of them were just good damn men. Let me just go to Mr. Mister's comment. Personally, I'm not fully on board with the high value man concept and liken it to a zombie apocalypse. When the world goes to hell, nobody cares how much money you can make or how many rich friends you have. Other things become much more important, i.e. your ability to fight, to build, your ability to judge other people correctly, and how to acquire food without a supermarket. You know what, Mr. Mister? I literally just had that conversation with my significant other. We were talking about that very same thing, and he was talking about making sure that if anything happens to the world, you surrounded people with different talents to make sure that you guys could survive should anything happen. So one person could be armed, one person knew how to start a fire from scratch, like no person know how to build a home or whatever it is. Like he had all of these different things that people should know how to do, because when all is done, none of that high value crap, again, what women, these subpar women are considered top tier high value, is going to matter when the zombie apocalypse comes for our ass, or World War III, which may start depending on who wins your presidential election.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just gonna do when martial law happens.
Right. So this is what I'm thinking about. Like, if I think, like, I care about if my man can change a flat. I care about if my man can change the oil in my car. I do care about that stuff because I can do none of that. I don't know how to do any of it. So that's a high value man to me. You can get underneath my car and change my oil. If anything happens to the side of the road, you can pull up, babe, and go under my car and change my tire and take me to where I want to go. That's high value. You can put up something in my house without me having to go and get somebody from TaskRabbit or whatever to come do it. Like, that's high value to me, because that matters. You could protect me. You know what side of the bed to sleep on when we're laying down, because I grew up knowing that the man slept closest to the door So should anything happen, if my man's 6 foot and all of that, and he's like, babe, you go look at the noise. How's that high value? No, thank you. I don't want that just because he's fine and tall and got some money, or he's sending somebody else to go do some crap. That's not high value to me, ladies. So like, let's really start thinking when we're going out there saying this man is high value, because some of these, again, scammers in Miami, or the scammers who are calling on you on the phone talking about you are some Nigerian prince or some crap, or the scammers calling you from India, they might make 6 figures. Does that make them high value? No, the hell not. We need to stop. We need to get, I just remember when you met someone and you liked them because they were a good person. When you speak to them, you just realize this is a good person. When you were in public with them, you're like, this is a good person. And the way they spoke to old people. I remember just looking at a man who would help an old lady cross the street or get her groceries. Or you know what I'm saying? Like men who would stop in the middle of what they're doing. I grew up in a neighborhood that unfortunately there was a lot of not great activity happening. But let me tell you, those guys I grew up with who used to do some things that were not necessarily legal, they were street pharmaceutical engineers. It didn't, when the old ladies were coming, they would stop what they were doing to go open the door for the old ladies and bring them in and go get their groceries and all of this. Yeah, people might think those types of men were trash, but they had characters and qualities about them that made them really good men. Like really good men. Now, not men I would date, they were drug dealers, but they were really good men for somebody. So we need to start thinking, what makes this man a really good man? Because the same women who go and say that these men are high value men, once one of those high value men cheats on them and throws them away, guess what? They're the same ones who turn around and go around and say all men are ish, but you determine a man's value because of what was in his pocket and his pants.
Instead of using his mind and his heart. Mm-hmm.
Even how they treat people on the street, how they treat the waiter that comes, how they treat the janitor. You understand? Like I talk to homeless people all the time. My daughter's always like, "Mommy, you know you don't have to," and I do have to stop because the mental health crisis is actually getting really bad in my city, and I should not just be talking to like random people on the street. But I talk to that, and I want is my man going to do that? If you see a homeless person who needs help, are you going to help them? Those things matter to me because guess what? Again, there could be high value men who are like, "Nah, I'm not giving that ninja no money. Let him go work like I did." That and like, you know what I'm saying? Just having that kind of attitude and doesn't want to do good work for the world. So I agree with you, Mr. Mister. I don't know if I feed into the idea of the high value men, especially because of where it's coming from. Once again, I don't believe that subpar people can determine what high value people are, and you can't be high value or top tier with a subpar personality. And that's it. That's all I gotta say. So, Mr. I want you to think about it. We've gotten to that time of the night. Again, I want to thank all of you who came back. I tried to use a different streaming service and it failed me. So never again. We're always coming back to StreamYard, our old faithful. And sorry if you came into the earlier broadcast and had to leave. It was all my fault. So, our dating tip for the night, I will start because I usually have twins start. I think I'm going to speak to the ladies. Does he motivate you? The man that you're with, does he motivate you? Does he speak life into you? Those are the things that I want women to look at because that is a man who is a high value man, in my opinion. A man who motivates you and speaks life into you. Look for those qualities in a man. Look for the man who's going to listen constructively and give you advice, understanding your strengths and weaknesses because he's gotten to know you and is going to speak life into you. You know, I was having a conversation with my boyfriend yesterday, and one of the things I was talking about, and I didn't realize I was saying it, and I kept saying the word try. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go try to do that. He's like, babe, take that out of your vocabulary. We're not trying anything over here. You're going to do. You've already done, and you're going to continue to do. And I was like, bet, done, done. I was like, I didn't even realize I was doing that, but done. You know, because sometimes I forget what a boss beat I am. I forget all the things I've done. He's like, babe, you've done this. He speaks life into me, even when I don't realize that I'm taking it for myself. So, ladies, if you're saying that you want a high value man, those are the things that you need to be looking at. Is he motivating you, and does he speak life into you? So that's my advice. Twins, and then Mr. Mister.
That was a lot. That was a lot that you unpacked there. I would just say to ladies, everyone doesn't deserve a top tier or a high value man, right? So find what works for you. Find your find what works for you. Like stop chasing the same person that everyone wants, right? Because he may not be for you as well, right? Just because you got the money and XYZ doesn't mean he want to be with you. Find your right match. Find that's special to you. And him being special to you can be a high value to you.
Mm.
So don't base it off the world everybody keeps saying about high value or top tier. Don't base it off that. Base it off what value that the person can bring into your life and you and your kids or his kids, whatever it may be. So I'll land my plan there.
Preach. And we just have a couple of final comments before we sign off. Jack Spade is saying this high value man narrative was created by people looking to sell men a feel good snake oil, and B, due to think making more money and having materialistic items will help them score more. Patty, woo-ha. Mr. says, being a high value or top tier man means nothing anymore once the electricity goes out, the stores are closed, and the infrastructure is destroyed. And Mr. said he did not write his dating tip ahead of time because he thought we were having a pre-recorded show. Never pre-recorded over here. Always live. Again, Toshiba just messed up. Oh, here we go. He's got one. Here we go. Dating tip from Mr. Women say they have preferences, but they're actually requirements. Men have actual preferences. Women don't become invisible if he prefers triple D's, but she only has C's. ... That means Mr. has more, and we will wait for it. I know I've talked about requirements and preferences before. I have preferences. I do. Like being over 6 feet is a preference. But based on my dating history, many might say it's a requirement, but I digress. Here's the West. Women, however, will say their preference is over 6 feet, but actually, any man below this is invisible. That means it's a requirement. I will stay silent.
Interesting.
Feel a little attacked.
Get out your feelings. Get out your feelings.
I don't fuck my feelings, right? That is the name of founder of the show, Fuck Your Feelings, the show. Ladies, listen to that. He said what he said. I cannot disagree. I fit into that category. It is a requirement for me to be over a certain height. I do agree with that. I land my plane. So that's it. That's all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for those who came back and joined us. Again, StreamYard is where it's at. If you would like to be a part of the show, let's not forget fyftheshow@gmail.com is where you can email me. If you have topic ideas, if you'd like to join me and Twins as a host one evening, let us know. If you have any relationship stories, any relationship disasters, any great things, and you do not want to come on the show, you can also reach out to me and send those questions or comments. I will read them on the show anonymously. I will not say who you are. We will answer the questions. We will read the scenarios. Again, any topic ideas, we're here. And if you do feel like joining the show every week, again, the link to join is in the comment section. I pin it at the top for anybody to come in and join us. Again, final thing before I go, Jack Spade will have the last word. He says, the women with all these requirements sure do have a number of dudes in their sexual history who shouldn't have gotten the poon. I am done. That is it. Sayonara and good night, everybody. Bye.
Good night. Drop.